In a world of sky islands orbiting around a core of mist, humanity is besieged with countless threats. When a young girl from the slums unwittingly becomes one of those threats, she finds herself capable of horrific things that she can't help but learn to love. Vigor Mortis is a light-hearted story about existential terror. Come for the horror, stay for the hope. Enjoy the read. Chapter 1: Stop, Thief. I can't help but wonder why people say that. Has any thief in the history of the world ever actually stopped? I suppose the call was more to alert other people to the thievery, but wouldn't "stop that thief" make more sense? Even better, describe the thief. You know, something like that black-haired, green-eyed girl in the cloak stole a loaf of bread. Get her. Of course, as the girl in question, I'm disinclined to give my pursuers any tips. At least the yell gives me a nice heads up that it's time to stop walking nonchalantly and start bolting for the nearest alleyway. I've targeted this shop a dozen times now, so the baker, Greg, was doubtlessly none too happy with me. But come on. He just leaves the fresh stuff out in the open. What am I gonna do, not take it? I'd buy it if I could. I really would. Being a street rat thief isn't some fun, exciting freedom adventure. It sucks. A lot. The grand and beautiful city of Skyhope isn't so grand or beautiful for the many homeless residents who lack the money to survive or the training to become a productive member of society. I and everyone like me are just flat out screwed, and there isn't much of anything I can do about it without a bucket full of luck and someone else's pity. Greg was not supplying that pity. As I do my best to weave through the crowd, he barrels right through, shoving people aside as he rants furiously behind me. Which is bad, because I'm weak, underfed, and not particularly talented at much of anything. He is definitely going to catch me. Thankfully, I had allies. Yo. Vita. Right here. A friendly voice has me making a 90-degree turn, and soon I end up face to face with Lynn, a drastically superior thief than I could ever dream of being. Pass it. She orders. I toss her 2 of the loaves, which she proceeds to wave in Greg's direction, jeering and taunting. Just try to catch us, fatso. Taking a huge bite, she runs off in the opposite direction, giving me a chance to slip out of sight. Panting and wheezing, I head through the paths and backways, munching on the 1 loaf I kept. It isn't particularly good bread, but it is warm and fresh, and I am very, very hungry. I tear through it, but know better than to eat it all. While I could probably get away with it, emaciated as I am. Well, everyone's emaciated in our little group except for Lynn and Rowan. It wouldn't be fair. Lynn is incredibly talented, a natural-born thief if there ever was one. She picks up new skills faster than I can pick fucking rocks off the ground, and is actually one of the more wanted faces in Skyhope. She's a regular noble thief, though, and almost single-handedly the reason my band of wretched gremlins can keep eating. And where she is all skills, Rowan is all brains. And we have a winner. Excellent eyes, young man. I make my way through the winding alleyways and pop out where I know Rowan has set up shop. He is a con man and expert gambler. Where Lynn steals the stuff we need to survive, Rowan makes all the cash. Despite his questionably legal business model, however, he's careful not to get a bad reputation. He's just running cups, because as smart as he is, he isn't always that creative. Ball goes under a cup, cups spin around, he palms the ball into a new cup if he wants them to lose and doesn't if he doesn't. It's a classic game, though he spices it up with juggles and fancy twists for the show. I sidle in behind his stall, giving him his half of the bread. Breakfast for you, Rowan. Vita. Hey. Thanks, I appreciate it. You get this yourself? I nod. I've been helping Lynn out for a week now, trying to earn my place. She gives charity, but the charity isn't much just by simple necessity. If I do more to help, I'll get a bit more food. That half loaf was already more than I'd normally see in a day. Naturally, I'm nearly a skeleton, barely more than skin and bones. I can't do much without Lynn's help. And she could probably do even more without me than with me. It doesn't matter. I need to try anyway. More than just needing food, I owe them. 16 years of suffering is more than enough, and Lynn's crew is a far nicer place than any other I've been on. As if to prove that, Roan hands me some coins. Here you go, Vita. Lynn keeps saying you're getting better and better. Pass these out to the kids, will you? It's hard not to consider buying myself a knife or something, but no. These coins are important, and Roan handing them out is a sign of his trust. I saved my pittance for years and ended up buying a nice cloak. It's something warm to wear and sleep in, and something to hide my face in when I cry. Can't take the opportunity to buy that kind of stuff away from the others. Of course, a few of those kids will get something far more valuable than a cloak regardless of whether I give them money or not. Not many of them, but some people are just talented. It is said that the Mistwatcher grants each person a gift when they are made, and while the church likes to present that as some wonderful thing, it's no secret that whatever gives the gifts gives them absurdly unequally. Some people have talent beyond comprehension, like Lynn. Some people could shoot fire from their hands without even studying to be a mage. Some people get nothing. Or at least, if they get something, it's so small and insignificant that only the Mistwatcher knows what it is. I'm like that, as far as I know, but any of the other kids could end up shooting fire. I'm gonna want to make sure I'm not someone that stole money from them when they do. So I make my way back through the alleys towards where the kids sleep, alone with my thoughts. There you are, you little thief. Greg the baker's voice sends fear burning over me like a trough of grease. I freeze. How had he? Turning around, I see him. Fat, hairy like a bear, and panting with fury, he glares at me from the other end of the alley. I'm so dead. I turn and bolt. He's faster than me, though. Everyone is. As fat as he was, I'm emaciated. I'm still recovering from my first run, and this time I don't have backup on the way. Crap, what do I do? The alleyways in Skyhope are everywhere, and the walls are high. Even the smaller buildings tend to be 2 stories tall, all brick and clay and wood. I glance at the window frame. Damn it, Lynn would just vault right up there and be out of here. But I might be able to lose him if I get up and over a wall somewhere. He could run faster than me, but I bet he can't climb. Could I, though? Better find out fast. I know the streets well, if nothing else. Left, right, down one fork. All the while, that fat bastard is gaining on me, ranting about how he'll hand my head to the guards. What the fuck this guy's problem, anyway? I just need to eat. There. A crate next to a window next to a smaller than normal wall. If I climb up there I can hop over and he won't be able to follow. Hell, the crate will probably break under his fat butt. Lungs on fire, legs nothing but shots of pain, I scramble up the escape route. I'm in the windowsill. Just pull, and a meaty hand wraps around my ankle. With a single yank, I'm on the ground, head smashing against the wall on the way down. All week you've been raiding my shop. You think I'm just gonna let you? Huh? I'm already reeling, but the kick to my chest sends even more pain through my aching body. Skidding across the stone ground, I choke for air in vain. No. I was so close. They won't put any guards in front of my shop. I told them that thief they're looking for is after me, but they act like I'm full of it. But you know her, don't you? Chased her halfway across the city. More than the damn watch manages. Another kick. It hurts. What else is new? Fuck, he's pissed. Lynn warned me about stealing from someone too many times. I should have listened. You stupid kid. How much product will my worthless son have burned by the time I get back, huh? You're costing me the better part of the day just to... Maybe you should just stop leaving it out in the open, I choke out. You're the one making it so easy. A vein just about pops in the fat man's forehead. Ah, shoot. I definitely should not have said that out loud. His boot comes for my face next, sending me sprawling another time. Come on, get up. Get up. Is this how I die? It makes sense, if so. A pathetic death for a pathetic human. My whole life, I've been worthless. I don't remember even trying to be anything else. Only just now am I learning to live off of more than handouts, and I'm 16 already. Too old to start. So really, beaten bloody in an alleyway seems like the way to go. It happens to nameless people all the time. I might as well be one of them. With a crunch, I feel my ribs break as the man's latest rage-fueled kick lifts me off the ground and knocks me straight into a wall. Moron probably didn't get that strong baking bread. Just more of the talent some people have. Stupid, lucky, degenerate, fat bastard. Why does this jerk get something while people like me are left to rot? Why am I not me? A scream escapes my lips. I hadn't cried out through the whole beating, but now I'm angry. I just want to hurt him back. I'm tired of waiting around for a miracle to rescue me. I want to see him suffer before I die. Maybe it won't do anything, maybe he won't even feel it, but I lash out at him anyway. What else can I do? Blindly, angrily, I reach for him with everything I have. I wish he was dead. Dead. I grab something. He kicks me again, sending me flying, but I hold on. It tears out of him, soundlessly, and he falls over. Broken, beaten, and bloody on the street, I am alone. Only one of my bruised eyes can even open anymore, but Greg doesn't appear to be breathing. The fight is over, and held tight in my fist is something I can't see. It shimmers outside the edge of my vision, wavering and frail. Like it could fall apart at any moment. Some part of me bubbles in satisfaction. For some reason, I know. It's Greg's soul. Chapter 2. I sit in stunned silence for a short moment before panic fills my body, washing away the pain and fury from before. What is this? How did I do this? What's happening? Did I just grab a man's soul and pull it out? That's what I did, isn't it? It has to be, I know it is. But how do I know it? Should I trust it? How do I? Wait. Oh no, I should put it back. It's his. It's his soul. I try to shove it back in the corpse, but it just passes through. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Souls are not for mortals to touch. The magic to control and manipulate souls, known as animancy, is very illegal. Study on it is forbidden across the entire island. But of course, some people don't have to study magic. They're born with it. Am I a natural animancer? Is that less illegal or more? Doesn't matter. I can't do this kind of thing. I can't be this. It's one thing to steal bread, it's another thing entirely to be a living blasphemy. The guards aren't going to ignore this. So if I could just put it back. It won't go. It's missing something. I don't know how I know it's missing something, but I do. It won't stay in the corpse without. I reach into my own body, and pluck out a tiny, infinitesimal fraction of my own soul. I place it carefully inside Greg's, then put them both inside his body, holding my breath all the while. Nothing. The soul bits stay inside the corpse, but nothing happens. He doesn't start to breathe, his heart doesn't start to beat. Well, hopefully I can get out of here before anyone catches me. I rifle through the dead man's pockets, stealing everything of value I can find. Time to move. Fuck, it hurts so much. I almost black out trying to stand up. Using the wall's support, I start staggering away. Then Greg opens his eyes. The fat man hacks out a cough, causing me to turn. I watch in horror as he sits up, a confused expression on his face. What? Oh, it's you, he says, pointing in my direction. I turn and start to stagger away faster, pain screaming through my body. Crap, 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 why did I do that? Of course, he catches me easily. His hand grabs my shoulder. This is it. I'm going to die for real now. Maybe I can take his soul back out again? I'm so sorry, he says, genuine concern in his voice. I can't believe I did that to you. Please, let me help. What? The sudden face turn to his personality hits me like whiplash. I can carry you somewhere. I'll pay for you to get healed. I'm so sorry. Miss, what's your name? Vida, I tell him, blinking in confusion. Miss Vita. Please, let me help you. A smile blossoms on his lips, an oddly vacant and disturbing expression. I'll do anything for you, he says. Oh no. I messed up his soul somehow, and I messed it up bad. That isn't even all of it, either. Something else is off about him. Is it? You, Baker Greg? Yes, Miss Vita? Could you, hold still for a moment? He nods, so happily willing despite the fact that he'd just recently tried to beat me to death. Of course, Miss Vita. I bring a shaky, bruised hand up to his neck, running it along the back of his jawbone. Nothing, no pulse. He stands motionlessly, letting me feel my hand around his nose and mouth. He isn't breathing, either. I'm not just an animancer. I'm a necromancer. The church is going to have my head. The dead have only one destination, and that is reuniting with the Mistwatcher. I'm screwed. But if I don't take him up on his offer to get healed, I'll probably die anyway. Alright. Please help me, Greg. Just don't let the healer examine you, okay? Grinning, he sweeps me up into his arms, carrying me back towards the market. He smells alive, still. I wonder how long that will take to change, or if it will at all. Will he rot? What is he now? It's so hard to think, everything hurts. It takes a lot of effort to not pass out. I'm so sorry, Miss Vita, Greg says again. I didn't mean to. Well, I did mean to, but I didn't realize you. I was just so angry before. I didn't know you. I didn't know how important you are. But now, it's obvious. Yeah, obvious. What's obvious, exactly? I ask. Drip, drip, drip goes my blood on the stone below. A bone probably pierced something. It's obvious that I can't be mad with you. That I have to protect you. There is no one more important than you, Miss Vita. I've never felt anything like this before, but I know it to be true. With all my being, I exist for you. That's not creepy at all, I murmur. I'm so glad to hear it, Miss Vita. Greg, or whatever it was I made out of Greg, makes the rest of the trip to the healer's place in silence. He gladly pays the exorbitant fee with almost all of the money he has on him, most of which I awkwardly have to mention is in my pockets. It's more money than I've ever had in my life. I've never been magically healed before, and have no idea how it works. I know that the magic most commonly used to heal is called biomancy, and it's a spooky sort of magical school that tends to be heavily regulated. Thankfully, there's enough demand for healers that permits to practice are common to the point of encouraged, and the magic used to heal people is one of the most basic applications of the school there is. All I'm doing is speeding up what your body is trying to do on its own, the crotchety old healer woman informs me, though I'm a bit busy lying in agony to respond. We've still got to set your bones so they heal right, and then you're going to have to eat, or you'll starve to death when I cast the spell on you. From the looks of it, I'm about to feed you more than you've ever eaten in your life, young lady. Well, I'm not going to say no to that. The slop she gives me tastes like shit, but for the first time in a long time I'm actually full. A couple hours later, I'm on my feet again. Maybe things will be okay. Or so I think, until the grinning face of the man who beat me in the first place greets me outside. Where to next, Miss Vita? I stagger out of the healer's building, my whole body still hurting like hell. I stumble a bit, only to have Greg catch me. The man who almost beat me to death over some damn bread. What am I going to do with him? I don't know. Maybe he can just keep pretending to be alive and act normal? He looks pretty normal. Let's head back to your bakery, Greg. It was a simple statement, but I was also testing him. I can't help but wonder, does he remember his bakery? Is he still, you know? Greg. Of course, Miss Vita. Right this way. So he does remember. Interesting. How about we head down some back ways? I suggest. I need to get a closer look at him. Figure out what I'm dealing with, how to survive it. Survival is the only thing I'm half decent at, after all. I've had 16 years of experience staying alive. Although I don't think I've ever killed anyone before. At least not on purpose. Which is what I just did, right? I was angry, I wanted to hurt him. So I murdered him. In self-defense, maybe. Either way, it's a little hard to have the whole deadness thing sink in while he's walking happily beside me. Actually, that's a good point. Does it matter if he's dead, if he's still walking around with his own memories and everything? Well, I suppose I mind-screwed him into servitude. That is definitely not a good thing. Morally, I mean. For my immediate survival, it's fucking awesome. Staring up at him, I try to keep an eye out for anything weird that might tip someone off. You're starting to look a little pale, Greg, I note. You feeling okay? Yes, ma'am. I feel fine. Although my feet feel a little puffy. Shoot, that makes sense. He'd been standing up this whole time, so blood must be pooling in his legs. Any chance you could get your heart to start beating again, Greg? He blinks, thinking for a moment. Huh? I suppose I am dead now, aren't I? You killed me. Well, I'm sorry, Miss Vita, but I don't have the faintest idea on how to control my own heart. Alright. Well. Try to remember to breathe. We don't want anyone to realize you're like a zombie or whatever. A revenant, ma'am. A zombie doesn't remember its past life, so I would be a revenant. My uncle fought with the Templars, so he smashed down and dead more than a few times, ma'am. Oh. Huh. And you're just okay with this? He grimaces uncertainly. Well, forgive me, ma'am, but I'd certainly prefer to be alive. Although, I suppose if I was alive, I probably wouldn't have realized I am supposed to serve you. Which would have been bad. So, yes. I suppose I'm okay with this. It's starting to become really easy to see why animancy is illegal. This kind of stuff is possible? Imagine a power-hungry psychopath getting their hands on magic like this. It's kind of horrifying. So, you mentioned while you were beating the shit out of me that you have a son, is that right? Yes, Miss Vita. A wife and a son, though she's an unfaithful bitch and he's useless swamp slog, if you'll forgive my language. I blink. That's an odd way to describe one's own family. I suppose this guy almost beat me to death for stealing bread, so he's probably not a great person. Forgiven, I guess. Remember to keep breathing, please. We're going to need a plan to not, get imprisoned or killed, I think. If people find out you're a revenant, it will be bad. Don't worry, Miss Vita. I will protect you with my life. There's a pause. Well, with my death, I suppose. I'm not sure what to say to that, so I'll let him take me to his shop in silence. It smells like burnt bread. Greg grinds his teeth. Miss Vita. May I go discipline my son? Geez, what do I say to that? Well, I don't want to be suspicious. Just do what you'd normally do. Thank you, Miss Vita, he says, nodding. Boy. He bellows loud enough to make me wince, entering his shop with a face suddenly contorted to rage. Like a switch is flipped inside him, that hateful man who nearly killed me returns. Greg's shop is split into two parts, a stall on the street, and the actual bakery behind it. I suspect Greg and his family live in the same building they bake in. A woman who is probably Greg's wife runs the stall outside. She's busy with a customer, though she winces as Greg walks past her, screaming into the building. How much product did you burn, boy? He vanishes inside. I hurry closer, trying not to bring attention to myself. Though muffled by the walls, I hear a hard smack. No way. I knew he was awful, but I didn't realize he was that awful. It's one thing to discipline a child, it's entirely something else to discipline them so hard I can hear it through a stone wall. I wince as another muffled crack is heard from inside. It's not my business anyway. I can't run in there and tell him to stop now, that would be way too suspicious. It's not like he's going to kill his own son anyway, right? Crack. Screw this. Screw today. Screw everything. I turned to leave, heading back to the alleyways and trying not to cry. I didn't know he would do that. I didn't know. No. Focus. I need to start figuring things out. I can try to figure out how to be less awful once I figure out how to live. Maybe I can learn a bit more about what I am. I can sort of feel its souls, right? So maybe I can feel my own soul. I sit down out of sight and try to focus, trying not to think about the beating I just let happen. I touched my soul earlier when I plucked a little bit out of it. I try to focus and remember that feeling. What is my soul? What is? It's so small. Smaller than Grig's is. Weak and frail, just like me. It's so dark, a solid, despairing blackness manifested. Something flickers inside it, like tiny flashes of light behind cracks in a wall, but it's just so little. So pathetic. It makes sense. I am, after all, a weak person. But weaker than Grig. Ugh. That rankles a little. Still, the part one I'm missing, that tiny bit I took out to give him. It was even smaller, by a long shot. Maybe 1/100th of my soul, if that. Although, who knows how much of my soul I could remove and still be me? It feels like my soul is working fine, at least. It's firmly attached to my body. I'm alive, and staying that way for now. Crack. Even hidden in an alley on the other side of the wall, I hear the blow. A chill runs through my body. I've seen so many worse things in my life than a man beating his son for burning bread. But this one? This one is partly my fault. I put the soul back in that bastard to bring him back. I unleashed him on his family. This is my business, like it or not. The least I can do is make sure he doesn't kill them. This is going to come back to bite me somehow, I just know it. Chapter 3. Maybe having parents isn't all that great after all. I head back to the stall, walk right past the meekly protesting Mrs. Grig and stick my head into the building behind her. It's all brick and clay, because most buildings are. The oven burns hot next to a bruised and crying young boy, probably around 13 or 14. Standing over him is Grig, who at this point is mostly muttering to himself and baking bread. You just take it out of the damn oven before it turns black, you pathetic boy. How hard is that? Everything was laid out for you. How can you not do this one simple thing? I should disown you. The boy whimpers briefly before catching sight of me, panic filling his eyes. Miss. Why you can't be in here? I sigh. At least he's not dead. Betcha I can be. Grig, quit beating your family. Miss Vita. I'm sorry, I thought you said. I know what I said. Can we just not do the beating thing? You've definitely beaten out my love for beatings. I'm so sorry, Miss Vita. It won't happen again. Great. Good. That's good. That was easy. Maybe if I'm careful, this will work out okay. I can help out. No, wait. Help out how? By murdering bad people and turning them into slaves. Father. Who is this? This is Miss Vita. Be respectful, boy. Isn't she the girl that kept stealing your bread, father? Yeah, I am, I button confidently. So be respectful. He blinks in utter confusion. Mission accomplished. But I still need to figure out what to do from here on. I can't hide this forever, right? Sooner or later, someone will notice the dude is dead. Boy, bring this bread to your mother, Grig orders. And cover your face. Oh, nice one, Grig. The child hurried out of the room as instructed, leaving the two of us alone. What now, Miss Vita? I don't know. I'm thinking. I want to go talk with Rowan and Lynn. They are reliable. They know me, they like me, and they feed me, which is about the closest thing I have to friends. But I'm an animancer. Lynn can't exactly walk up to the authorities and try to sell me out, but animancy is something even criminals don't screw around with. I want their help, but I legitimately don't know how they'll react. That's scary. My other options are to stick around and try to lay low, or to run out of the city. Running out of the city isn't the most appealing thing in the world, since without the protection of the guard, the Templars, and the massive city walls, I'll probably die in a few hours to all the horrifying monsters that roam around out there. I've lived in Skyhope my whole life, so I don't know much about that, but the rumors are, concerning. But can I stay? Greg already looks pale to the point of sickly. He's eventually going to get discovered. I might be able to just pretend like he has nothing to do with me? Natural undead happen. It doesn't necessarily mean a necromancer made them, I think. Although natural undead almost never reanimate after a single death. It tends to take a war. If only I could make him alive again. But how the heck am I supposed to do that? He's not alive. People can't just make something alive, right? His soul is puppeting his body with magic. Okay. First things first. Greg, can you tell me more about necromancy? You said your uncle was a Templar, right? You want me to tell you, miss? I never studied this crap, Greg, I'm a natural. He frowns. It's odd that you could be a natural necromancer. Isn't animancy an affront to the Mistwatcher? So why would? Well, it doesn't matter. If the Miss says it is, then it is. I'm afraid I don't know much about necromancy, though. Just undead. There's all sorts of types. The basic ones are called dregs. A dreg zombie is an animated corpse with no real intelligence. They wander aimlessly and attack living things that get close, but unless the corpse is of some powerful monster, they are not very dangerous. Dreg skeletons are the same, but with no meat on their bones. There are other types. More powerful undead can retain more of their abilities in life, even if they are mindless. Those are called risen. They are incredibly dangerous, but the ones to really watch out for are revenants and wights. Revenants, you know, ma'am, since I'm one, I think. I remember who I was. I can do all the things I could do while alive. But I'm dead, which makes me harder to kill, I imagine. I think most revenants tend to try to kill the living as well, but I'm not sure why. I don't feel any need to do that. Huh? Okay. Well, let me know if you start feeling any homicidal tendencies. Murder is bad, okay? Yes, Miss Vita. So, what about whites? Whites are, very bad, miss. I'm not sure what they are, really. My uncle said they looked like a dreg, but they act odd. And they are powerful, he said. They send whole battalions of Templars to fight a white when they find one, miss. Sometimes it's overkill. But sometimes the white kills them all. Many of them have powerful magic, usually chaos magic. And if they're left alone, they keep getting stronger. Leave a white alone for too long, my uncle said, and you'll lose a whole island. Oh. That sounds very bad, yeah. I can't help but wonder if I could control one. Probably not something I should mess around with, though. Best to focus on the moment. What should I do with Greg? I have no idea. I can't just bring him back to the shock. Lynn and Rowan would freak out. I need to gauge how open they are to what a monster I am before I do anything crazy. Okay. Greg. Here's what we're gonna do. Stay here and keep pretending to be alive. Don't forget to breathe. If you start, showing too many signs of corpseness, hide in your home. It's really important no one finds out you're dead. Makes sense to me, Miss Vita. And no beating people up. Yes, Miss Vita. And don't let your family blab about me being here. I'm just a rich customer or something. I don't know. You figure out a good excuse. Bye. There's a back exit this way, Miss Vita. I nod and follow, grabbing a bunch of bread before taking the exit and sneaking through the old, dank parts of the city I know so well. Spikes of panic flow through me almost every time I see somebody. Do they know? Are they a guard? A Templar? Is this the end? But of course, nothing of the sort happens, at least not yet. Making sure I don't have any tails, I finally make my way to Lynn's hideout, which we lovingly call the Shock. It's a rickety old place, built from wood instead of brick. Little of interest is inside. A few sleeping areas, a mostly broken clay oven, a dozen starving, homeless brats. All the real stuff is in the secret rooms below, but of course, I have to deal with the brats first. Vita. Vita, Vita, Vita. Grubby kids swarm around me, pawing at my shirt and cloak. I had been one of them not too long ago, though I'm older than any of the ones here by 4 or 5 years. I had just been content to live on handouts. To eke by with the meager life allotted to me and nothing else. Not contributing, not working, barely even thinking, really. Just existing on the generosity of someone kinder and more talented than me. And she would have let me, too. Deciding to try and help Lynn had been my choice, but I made it so late in life I wonder if I still have it in me to unlearn all those awful, lazy habits. I've just felt something stirring in me, something that makes me look back at my life so far and feel so much disgust that I have to move forward. What did you bring us, Vita? Bread, I say, handing it out. Bread is always a beautiful sight to see, but the money I'm supposed to be giving them has been used up to save my life. More worthless taking. Is Lynn around? A couple of the kids nod, and one points down. All right. Thanks. I nod back and scoot one of the beds aside, opening up the not very secret hatch and crawling down the ladder. The hideout isn't that hidden, but Skyhope is a very, very big city and there are probably hundreds of little shacks like this one in the area. The people after Lynn just don't quite care enough to search them all yet. It's basically just a hole in the ground, carved from the rock by whoever owned this place prior. It isn't pretty, but it's big enough for 2 beds and a whole other room, at least. Hey, Lynn. I call down. Vita. Hey. You made it. Lynn's cheerful response calls back and soon the woman is on me, grabbing me straight from the ladder and spinning once before putting me down. She has a huge, goofy grin on her face, as usual. A few strands of her red hair poke out from underneath her bandana, and with her boyish, multi-pocketed outfit it would be difficult for her to look more like a stereotypical thief. Hey, Lynn, I murmur, wiping off something oily that she had gotten on me with the embrace. Probably maintaining her knives or something. We're friends, right? She lifts an eyebrow. Yes, of course we are. Did something happen, Vita? You look kind of freaked out. I am freaked out, I say flatly. I'm honestly way beyond freaked out, right now. Oh. Well, you know I got your back for anything, Vita. You kids mean everything to me. I grimace. Lynn's not even that much older than me. Maybe 20. Yet she refuses to stop treating me like a kid. I'm not that short. I know. This one is pretty bad. She shrugs. I'm all ears. I swallow. This is a moment of truth. I probably shouldn't say it all at once. Well. It turns out I'm a natural image. I hedge. She blinks. Then her grin explodes even wider. Yo, you what? Vita, that's awesome. That's the best news I've heard in months. Why would? Something bad happened? Yeah, you could say that. See, couple of bad things, really. There's a pause. She looks me over carefully. You kill somebody? I swallow. Yeah. I did. That, Baker guy. Greg. He tracked me down somehow and nearly beat me to death, and, yeah. I killed him. Then I had to use the money on him and what Roan gave me to, stop dying. She stares carefully. Considering. It's a very motherly sort of look, the kind of look someone used to raising a dozen lying street rats often gives. Does she think I just stole the money? Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned it. I believe you, she says eventually. You're way too smart to make a lie like this. And? You get how serious this is. Right? Corpses show up in town all the time, but if the guard finds someone who was killed by magic, they are actually going to take it seriously. But I got your back in this, Vita. It's not like I haven't killed anyone before. Nobody's gonna be turning you in. Have you hidden the body? Crap, 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 this is the moment, this is when I have to tell her. Right? Do I trust Lynn? Do I really trust Lynn? She's been giving me charity for the past year. She's a good person. She would want to help, I know it, but this is something that could put everyone in danger. Okay, fear racks my body. Would she kill me? I sort of. Come on, V, it's okay. The goofy grin returns. I got your back. I made the corpse stand up and keep pretending to be alive, I blurt out. Silence. Lynn's grin falls. Oh no, I'm so dead. I should try to grab her hand. Or hug her, maybe. In case I have to pull out her soul. She's fast, but maybe she won't realize what I can do until it's too late. She's strong. She's arrogant. She doesn't know how dangerous I am. If she goes in for the kill, I didn't know that was a thing that could happen, Lynn says, sounding much more dumbfounded than aggressive. More evidence that the church is full of shit, I guess. A necromancer, huh? Shit. That will be really hard to work with. It's still good, though. We'll figure something out, Vita. Congrats. I swallow dry. Really? It's okay. But we'd better go collect your corpse, buddy, before the Templars find it. Probably destroy it, just to be safe. Well, the thing is, he's a revenant? Lynn tilts her head. The hell does that mean? He's still Greg. He's still himself. Like, he's currently running his bakery? He's still exactly the same person, as best I can tell, other than the fact that he listens to me. And he's a walking corpse, I guess. Whoa. Freaky. Lynn frowns, heading for the ladder. Kinda fucked up, really. But that's all the more reason we gotta get him out of there before he's found. But it's not that simple. His son saw me, and he saw Greg acting all weird, and he knows my name. She scowls down at me, flicking a bit of hair away from her face. Vita, did you enter the bakery with him? I had to. Greg was beating up his family. He's awful unless I specifically tell him not to be. So you left him alone? Vita, Rowan and I are pretty sure Templars can sense magic. Whenever they're involved with a job, we have to go mundane or they crack down on us hard. If whatever they're doing to figure that out can identify necromancy. Oh no. I didn't know that. She sighs and rustles my hair. Always that same goofy smile. I know you didn't, kiddo. Which is why we gotta go now. Come on, follow me. I do. Lynn is crazy fast, but she waits for me as I pant along after her. It's not long before the two of us reach the back entrance of the bakery. I let myself inside, finding Greg working his oven like normal. He looks up at the noise. Miss Vita. You. Careful. That damn thief is right next to you. He instantly drops what he was doing and tries to protect me, but I step in front of Lynn, arms outstretched. Stop. She's a friend. He stops, but scowls. He's clearly not happy. As you say, Miss Vita. How can I help you? Lynn steps out from behind me, her expression furrowed. She walks around the revenant, much to his obvious annoyance. You really do have him whipped, don't you? All right. We're going to take him to sewage and end him. I blink, dumbfounded. Do you really think that's the safest choice, Lynn? I do, she confirms with a nod. It won't really do much about the boy, but if he blabs after we take this guy away they'll hopefully just think he ran off with you. If they don't find the body, anyway. If they do, they'll probably suspect you of killing him, but that's still better than people thinking you're a necromancer, Vita. And we'll hide the body well. Excuse me, Miss Vita, Greg says, piping up. If you really think you're better off with me dead, that's alright. I'll happily die for you again. But I can't say I like seeing this stupid woman trying to boss you around. I look up at him, swallowing dry. I don't want to kill him. I already killed him once by accident, and it freaked me out so much I can hardly stand it. Now I'm supposed to kill him again, when all he wants to do is help? On purpose, in cold blood. I really don't know if I can do this, Lynn, I say quietly. She sighs, putting her hands on my shoulders. She has to lean down to look into my eyes. A lifetime of malnourishment will do that to a gallons. Vita, sweetie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry this is happening. I can do it if you need me to, okay? But we can't have whatever he is running around in the city. If people think a necromancer is in town, all hell is going to break loose. You wouldn't be safe. You know that, right? I nod, holding back tears. It wouldn't be good to waste water. Okay. Follow us, Greg. Out the back. Yes, Miss Vita. The three of us sneak much more slowly back through the alleyways, heading towards the edge of the city. Skyhope is built in and around a crater, so the edges of the city are much higher in elevation than the middle. This is, so I've learned, a huge pain for sewage management. Sewers around the city have to be dug deep and managed carefully to prevent accidents from pooling unsanitary water in the center of the city, and since the center is the rich district they actually manage it pretty well. The designated sewage disposal areas are out near the edges, where all the disgusting sludge has to be pulled up from deep underground so that it can be deposited outside the walls. In the grossness is where Greg would die again. He'll be mixed in with the mush and pushed outside the city walls where his body won't be found. I'd better make use of him while I can. Ugh, what a horrible thought, but I do need to know as much as I'm able, especially about the people that are going to try to kill me. Just a few more questions. Hey, Greg. Can you tell me what you know about Templars? Your uncle worked with them, right? He grunts. My uncle was one. A proud Templar of the Church. They are expert warriors, they are. To be granted the title of Templar is an honor. They protect people like you and I from people like you and I. I finish sardonically. Well, it's not just the undead the Templars fight. They're part of the army as well, more or less. They clear out plenty of other dangerous monsters. Fight in wars, if there is one. Protect the peace at home. They are the hands and feet of all those who worship the Mistwatcher. Which is almost everyone, I should think? Lynn snorts incredulously. Yeah, no. I'm not interested in whatever rules those cultists decide. They say the Mistwatcher wants this, the Mistwatcher wants that. It's probably some made-up deity they use to justify keeping all the metal for themselves. Greg frowns at that. You don't talk to many people over 40, do you, miss? She blinks. Huh? The Mistwatcher is very real, miss. We've seen him. The one below all. Ask anyone that was alive to be there, ma'am. He saw a star he didn't like, and he pulled it out of the sky, just as the church said he would. He holds the islands and the air with naught but his will. Go to the edge and look down, miss. If the mists are clear, you'll see him too. There's a moment of silence, as Lynn and I try to take that in. As if two street urchins like us could afford a trip to the edge, Lynn responds scathingly. Get over yourself, dead man. He shrugs. Live long enough, and you'll see him whether you go to the edge or not. They say in ancient times, people worshipped many false gods. Invisible gods. Gods you had to believe in just because you're told to. Some people still do, I hear, and they're all fools. The Mistwatcher is real, miss. Whatever you think of him, he's there and everyone knows it. We make the rest of the trip in silence, giving me time to collect my thoughts. Everyone knows of the Mistwatcher, certainly. Even an uneducated urchin like me. The church says the whole world was crafted by the Mistwatcher, every single island in the sky. Unlike Lynn, I believe he's real. I just figure if this is the world he made, he must be pretty damn awful. There's no way I'm going to worship whatever made my life. Not a chance. We're here, Lynn announces. It's somewhat of a redundant thing to say, considering that when she opens the hatch at our feet the smell nearly doubles me over. The three of us crawl down the ladder, and before I know it we're knee-deep in shit water. I follow Lynn as she wades through it a ways before finally speaking again. All right. Here is a good spot. You want me to destroy him for you, Vita? Destroy him? It sounds more like murder him to my ears, and I don't want that to happen at all. He's horrible. Truly a horrible, awful human being. In many ways he probably deserves death. Yet that feeling of holding his soul in my hands, how weak and vulnerable he was, how he had just fallen over. It scares me. In the same way, it scares me how obedient he is now. So many parts of my mind are screaming, keep him. Use him. This is what I need. This is how I can finally become stronger. This is how I get out of hell. My whole life I've had to scrape and steal and beg just to live to see tomorrow, and now I can just make people wait on me hand and foot. How can I just give up on that? I turn to look at Lynn. At the woman who has helped me all these years, who fed me when I was hungry and asked for nothing in return. At the person willing to help me even now rather than toss me to the church like the monster I am. I can't put her in danger. Not the one singular good thing in my life. No. I got it, Lynn. I walk up to the awful, fat man. I put my hand on his chest, trying to feel for his soul. I can. It's kind of like feeling my own soul, except outside my body. I suppose, in part, it is my soul. The shard of my soul that I put in him has fused with his own, making a singular form. The new soul is very different from either one I used to form it. I can't see it, not really, but as I hold my hand to Greg, I can feel things growing out of the core of his being. Like strings, or maybe blood vessels. Whatever they are, they slither through the body, pulling and tightening and moving it around like some kind of freakish parasite. He's a muscular man under all that fat, but his muscles aren't involved in his movement anymore. Dutifully, he still pretends to breathe, but his diaphragm doesn't tighten or contract at all. It just moves on its own, some invisible force inside it forcing it to do so. It feels so different, so wrong. And yet so right. I take a deep breath of my own. He smiles at me. Then I take my hand away, and he crumples into the sludge like a dropped doll, completely lifeless. I hold everything he was in a single palm. Instinctively, without even thinking, I pop it into my mouth and swallow. The soul slides down my throat, but it does not drop to my stomach. I shiver as that thing inside of me that makes me myself pulls Greg's soul within it and unravels him like a priceless tapestry with a loose thread. He dissolves into nothing, and becomes a part of me. I stagger, taking a step back as the aftermath flows through my being. My steps are lighter. I'm not as imposed by the bog. I'm stronger than I was before, just a bit. Yet my muscles haven't gotten any less atrophied. My soul just demands they move better, and gives them the strength to do so. It isn't a lot. But to a girl as weak as me, it's a world of difference. I can't help but let a small smile quirk at my lips. What did you just do? Lynn's words hit like a bucket of ice. She's staring, her normally jubilant expression mixed between confusion, caution, and a bit of fear. Horrid realization comes crashing back on top of me. What did I just do? I couldn't feel you, Lynn continued. You just popped onto my danger sense, kid. I cough. Do I have soul gunk in my throat? Danger sense? Yeah. It's a trick people like me can learn. I can sort of. Well, judge how dangerous someone is. It's not precise or anything. Before now, you didn't register at all. Now you're weak, but I couldn't feel you. That doesn't just suddenly happen. What did you do? Oh no. Well, she came this far with me. I may as well be honest. I squeak. Ate his soul, I think? Her jaw drops. You ate his soul? I'm sorry. I just acted on instinct. You have a soul-eating instinct? I don't know. Yes? Maybe. What else was I supposed to do with it? Please don't hurt me. I hunched down, putting myself at her mercy. This is all so messed up. What kind of monster am I now? Lynn's shoulders sag. She lets out a huge sigh, tension of the situation escaping her figure. Vita. Hey. I'm not gonna hurt you. I got your back, remember? Always. Rowan and I will figure something out. It might have been a good idea. I don't know how the Templar magic stuff works. I just don't know anything about this, okay? Magic isn't my bag of beans, and nobody knows anything about animancy and sticks around for long. We're just gonna have to figure this out as we go, okay? And keep it secret. I nod. Of course I'll keep it secret. Dying doesn't sound like my idea of a good time. We'll find a way to use this, Vita, Lynn continues. You don't have to worry. I ripped a man's soul out of his body, I mumble numbly. I didn't even mean to, the first time. What if I try to do the same to you or Rowan? Lynn frowns. Greg was a fat, stupid bastard. I, meanwhile, am a powerful and sexy queen of thieves. I doubt whatever you did to him would work on me. Magic is crazy, but it's not all powerful, you know? If you pay attention, you can fight back. Even if you don't know a single spell, like me. It's just training, kid. Maybe he was too busy trying to beat a child to defend himself, or maybe he just sucked at it. I'm not a child, I grumble, scowling. Lynn looks at the spot of muck where Greg's body lies, just below the surface. She gives the corpse a light kick. No. I guess you're not anymore, are you? We'd better get back. We'll find somewhere to bathe and steal Rowan for a couple days. He'll know what to do with you better than me. Shaking, I lean forward and wrap Lynn in a huge hug, squeezing as hard as my newly empowered arms can manage. It's still not that strong, but Lynn gives a little yelp of surprise. Just a moment later, she brings her arms up and hugs back. It takes everything I have to not break down and cry. Hey, Vita? Lynn asks softly. Yeah. I know this is like a big emotional moment and all, but could we do this later? We are both covered in shit. Ah. Right. The two of us make our way to a place to wash off. Lynn bans me from getting anywhere near Greg's bakery, telling me to stay in the shack for now. She says she'll be back soon, with Rowan to help. Just to be safe, Lynn suggests I stay in the secret area underneath, and to not touch any of the kids. Thinking about why that's a good idea is going to give me nightmares. Still, it looks like I'm going to have people to help. Things aren't as bad as I feared. Maybe things are actually starting to look up. Ha! Yeah. Good joke, Vita. Chapter 4. Alright, kiddo. How about you tell me this secret Lynn's got you locked down here for, eh? I'm sitting face to face with Rowan, down in the hideaway under the shack. Lynn stands behind him, arms crossed. It's a bit of a serious atmosphere, but I suppose it's a pretty serious subject. Well, I'm a necromancer. Rowan glances up at Lynn, his flabbergasted face clearly seeking confirmation. He is a bit of an odd-looking guy, way too young to rock the black mutton chops he has. He's still quite attractive, though, and it's a secret to no one that he and Lynn are in a relationship. They're a power couple, and quite the contrast to my emaciated ass. How long have you been hiding this from us? Rowan asks, attention returning to me. And how did you learn? I haven't been. I found out earlier today. It just happened. She's telling the truth, Rowan, Lynn confirms. But natural animancers aren't a thing, he says. I mean, hypothetically they're a thing, but there's no record of one ever existing. Then she's the first. Or there's a bunch and we don't have records of them. But I saw her do something, Rowan, and it didn't look like a spell at all. She just did it. He taps his chin, thinking. Well fuck, Rowan eventually concludes. I don't know what this means, but it's probably bad news if the church finds out. Kinda throws a wrench into their doctrine. At least a little. Maybe it's not that bad, but we probably shouldn't ask them about it. Why? I ask. I don't get any of this church stuff. What do they have against animancy? Well, sort of a twofold answer to that. The first is the church side. Souls are gifts from the Mistwatcher, or so they say. When you start messing with souls, You're not just messing with the fundamental nature of a person, you're messing with the Mistwatcher's direct business. We don't know everything about the Mistwatcher, but the church is very adamant that it's a bad idea to mess around in his business. I frown, thinking, well, okay, I guess that makes sense. So, what's the second reason? Pretty much just basic common sense. The church and the government are sleeping together nice and tight, but even without that any sane government would regulate or outright ban animancy. You can do crazy stuff with it. Read minds, corrupt thoughts, change people's beliefs and personalities, make them fall in love with you. And it's nearly impossible to trace except by another animancer. You're a necromancer specifically, you said. Necromancy doesn't do most of that really spooky stuff, but even then a powerful necromancer can create loyal, undying armies more or less by themselves. Along with all sorts of stuff I probably don't even know about. It's all restricted knowledge. I nod. Yeah, okay, so I'm spooky and dangerous. Check. So it's the most awful magic around. Great. What are all the other kinds of magic? Ha ha, he chuckles, shaking his head. Well, that's the question, isn't it? Presumably there's a kind of magic to affect everything in the natural world, but we don't know it all. Magic is learned and categorized by reverse engineering it from observation. Take a mage that can see magic, watch it happen in nature, try to make a formula for it. Kineticism, the branch of magic concerning movement, was created by observing the forces that hold the islands in the air. For example, there's a bunch of kinds of magic: thermomancy for heat, biomancy for body stuff, and metamancy for magic about magic, just to name a few. Oh, and technically chaos magic, which is just kind of tossing raw power around without funneling it into a spell first. Don't, do that. It'll kill you. Learning to be a spellcaster is incredibly dangerous. If you're really a natural mage, though, anything you feel like you can do on instinct is probably safe. At least, safe in your immediate health sense, not the short and long-term consequences sense. So the deal with necromancy and animancy is... Oh, right. All necromancy is animancy, but not all animancy is necromancy. If you are a necromancer, your deal is specifically concerning souls of the dead and/or souls currently outside of the body. Its counterpart would be chronomancy, which is manipulating the souls of the living to affect a person's thoughts and actions. Although if you want to get really semantic, these designations are more academic than truly descriptionary, and a unified. Nope. Enough nerd talk, Lynn butts in. Can you help her or not? He frowns. Help her how? If she's caught using necromancy, she's gonna die or get carted away. My advice is don't use it. Lynn shakes her head. Come on, Rowan. That's like asking me not to run. It's part of who she is. You can't just take that from her. The church is fucking dumb anyway. Part of who I am. I'm not sure if I like the idea of necromancy being a key element of my personality. Them or not, they can still kill her, Rowan mumbles. But fine. What kind of stuff do you know how to do already, Vita? I really don't know a lot about how necromancy works, because... well, it's absurdly illegal. I can, pull souls out of people's bodies. And then if I take out a bit of my soul and mix it around with the other soul and put them back, I make a revenant, I guess. Or at least I did that one time. I can also, eat the soul. Which I think makes me stronger. Rowan says eloquently. Revenants and soul eating. Well, that's... I mean, how did you find this out, exactly? How many people are dead? Just one. I insist. The Revenant was, under my control when I made it. So he didn't attack anybody, or... well, I mean, he did, but that's because he was an asshole, not because he was a Revenant. Rowan leans back in his chair, blowing air out his nose as he balances the rickety wooden thing on two legs. Okay. Well. That's... I don't know what to do about that. If your powers require somebody to die, you probably should not be using them. Yeah. I say dejectedly. That makes sense. It makes too much sense, really. I don't know what I want to be in life, but mass murderer is certainly not on the list. And I'm a death midge, basically. I just deal with death. Maybe I can wait around for people to die of natural causes and then eat them? Ugh, that sounds even worse. Am I just destined to be a horrible monster? Have you tried it with animals? I blink. Huh? Animals, Rowan repeats. Animals have souls. Monsters too, if you care to make the distinction. They tend to be weaker than the souls of humans and other sapiens, but they have them. Might be a more ethical way to test out the kind of things you can do. I swallow. Isn't that risky? Of course it's risky. You're a necromancer. Don't use it at all, or get used to risk. But if you want to use your powers, animals are probably the best way. Just keep your distance from the Templars, kid. If they grab you and find out that we helped you, everyone here is fucked. Don't tell the kids anything, either. Okay. I won't, I promise, nodding. Good. Now let's go. I wanna see what you do. You got a preference for which pest to kill? I think about that for a bit. What sort of animal would I want to serve eternally in my loyal undead army? What about crows? Rowan smiles knowingly, standing up to exit the hideout. I blush a little. I might sleep with a stuffed crow still. It's not weird. Crows, huh? Why crows? Might be a little hard to catch him. I just like crows, I protest meekly. So you want to kill them and mess with their souls? Should Lynn and I be worried? My face goes white. And no. That's not what I mean at all. Kidding, Vita, Rowan says with a laugh, tousling my hair. Crows could be good practice. They are smarter than most pests. I'd question how long a crow zombie would actually be able to fly, but, well, we can't let you leave undead around anyway, okay? That could be really bad. I nod, following him out of the hideout. Lynn says something about grabbing some more food and heads out, leaving the two of us to walk silently through the back streets of Skyhope. Rowan's finger twitches a bit, drawing a lazy path in the air. When he's done, I'm suddenly unable to hear the city's noise around me. There we go, he says. Silence bubble. We can chat freely now, if you want. Yeah. Question. I pulled Grig's soul out of his body while he was still alive. That's affecting a living soul, right? Affecting living souls is conomancy, not necromancy. So am I both, or is that just proof of the, unified thingy you were talking about? Rowan looks down at me with a raised eyebrow. It ain't proof of shit. But yeah, the labels we give this kind of stuff? It's all observation-based. We made up the names to describe what we saw. Magic didn't create a bunch of spells based on names we gave it. There's gonna be some fuzzy areas. The unified theory is just one of many theories on how magic as a whole actually works. But as interesting as that is to pontificate about, it's nowhere close to proven. From a practical perspective, the groups we have are going to be how people learn magic for decades. It's not weird for a natural mage to have a few things outside whatever our imperfect understanding predicts they should have, but if you think you're a general animancer rather than just a necromancer, well, let Lynn and I know as soon as possible, okay kid? I nod. Good. Here we are then, Rowan says. This should be a good spot to fish for crows. We turn a corner into a small clearing, empty of any people. There is, however, lots of trash. Rowan starts drawing something in the air again, though it makes no trail I can see. Eventually, some illusory food scraps pop into view nearby, while the two of us are covered with a fake trash bag. Alright, now we wait. You're gonna have to be quick to grab 'em, so stay sharp. I nod again. Illusion magic, huh? That's pretty useful for a con man. Time passes before a few crows come down and start pecking, immediately confused when their beaks pass right through the food. But before they can smell foul play, I reach out and miss. Embarrassingly. The crows are way faster than I am and just fly off. I turn an ashamed glance towards Rowan, who chuckles. Okay, Okay, I'll help. Just don't tell anybody I can do this. I've got a kinemancy license, but I do not have a thermomancy license. The next bird to fly down immediately gets flambéed. As it falls over dead, something stays where it was. A tiny, tiny soul. I can't see it, but I can feel it. Reaching out, I cup my hands around it, just over where the corpse lies. You got something there, Vita? Roan asks, raising an eyebrow and leaning over to look at my seemingly empty hands. Yeah, I confirm, nodding. I have a crow soul. If you say so. I can't sense a thing. But I guess I've heard souls and magic aren't quite made of the same sort of stuff. I agree. Makes sense to me. I can't sense Roan's spells like I can the floating soul. But I couldn't sense the soul until it wasn't in the crow anymore, either. Good to keep in mind. Am gonna try some stuff, I warn. Dunno what it'll do. He nods. Alright. I'm ready. First, I close my hand around the soul. It sinks into my arm, something about what I am now holding it in place. Just as I thought, though I'm not sure why I thought this, it's not getting dissolved. It's just another soul inside me, trapped in stasis. Unused, for now. It feels very different to the soul I took from Greg. It's more like the tiny shard I took from my own soul than his. It's small, and sharp somehow. As if it's broken. A soul shard, if you will. And speaking of shards, I put my hand to my chest and pull out a fragment of my own. It's such an odd thing to do, thinking about it now. Splintering my very being. Yet it feels as natural as walking. Even more natural, perhaps. There's a subtle joy in the act, a satisfaction in practicing something that is uniquely and indisputably mine. Reaching out with my other hand, I grab the crow corpse. Then, I stick the little shard of my soul inside it. In my hand, I feel it grow out those threads like Greg's soul did, spreading throughout the body. Jerking and flopping, my crow zombie shudders to life. Neat, I murmur quietly. It struggles in my grip, not hurting me but trying to get free. It wants something. That's interesting. I like holding it, it's cute. I loosen my hands anyway, though, curious to see what it will do, and it tries to lunge at Rowan. Stop. I hiss, and the bird halts immediately, all movement gone. I nod. Good. It knows who its master is. Now for the coolest part about crows. Fly, I demand. It staggers and hops, flapping its wings awkwardly. It looks like the poor thing would have no idea how to do that, even if it wasn't quite as burned. I murmur. Learning a lot? Rowan asks, his smile failing to disguise the fear on his face. I nod again, feeling out my own instincts for things to do next. The crow couldn't fly when it only had a piece of my soul in it. Would it know how if it had a piece of my soul and its own soul, like how Greg knew who he was? Open your beak, I command, and the zombie complies. Willing the crow soul shard out of my arm, I try to drop it down the crow's throat. But it doesn't really work. Something is wrong. I frown, thinking. Pulling my spindly soul shard out of the crow again, it goes limp. I mix it with the crow shard like I did to make Greg, and then shove it all back in the body. The crow gets up and tries to attack Rowan again. This time, though, it kicks off my hand and flies at him. Stop, I murmur softly, and it freezes, dropping to the trash-covered floor. Shit, Vita, you're gonna give me a heart attack with that thing, Rowan murmurs, untensing a bit. Sorry, I respond. Got it to fly, though. Yeah, I guess you did. You're a quick learner, kid. Not a kid. Killed a guy earlier today. Rowan's face turns very serious. That doesn't make you an adult, Vita. It's a tragedy, not a rite of passage. Silence follows that. I pick my limp bird zombie back up. Don't attack Rowan. You may move again. The bird coos happily, ruffling its feathers as I stroke a finger down its back. It's still warm. I think I forgot to tell you that the son of the guy I killed saw me in his house while Greg was a revenant, I say suddenly. Rowan blinks. Okay. That's not great. Did you tell Lynn? Yeah. What did she tell you to do? Stay away from the bakery and hope they think he ran off with me. Gross, Lynn. But I don't have a better plan. We're not gonna kill the son too. I feel bad for him. Greg beat his wife and kid a lot, I think. And they'll probably go out of business without him, now. Rowan shrugs. Well, if I could solve the problems of every kid in the city, Vita, I would. But I can't. I don't have the power, the money, the influence, the anything to do that. It's a handful feeding the little mouths we have already. And now you. He cuts himself off before he can say I'm yet another problem, but my heart clenches up anyway. Lynn and Rowan really are going out of their way for me, aren't they? Sorry, I murmur. Rowan touzles my hair again. Hey. None of that. You didn't ask for this. We'll figure out a way to keep you safe. I lean into his touch, hugging my bird. Thinking back at how its first instinct was to kill him. A terrible idea comes to mind. Hey, Rowan. Do you think it's my fault that the stuff I make is so violent? I'm putting bits of my soul in them. Does that say something about me? He sighs, sitting down in the trash next to me. I don't really know anything about necromancy, Vita. But almost all undead try to kill living things. It's just what they do. Yeah, I murmur. I guess that's all I can really do, too. Can you catch me something alive? Maybe I'm a conomancer too? I can mess with my own soul, and I'm alive. He takes a deep breath, nodding slowly. Sure. I can probably snare a rat or something. He gets up to do just that, and I take some time trying to command my bird zombie non-verbally. Maybe I can establish some kind of mind link to make it easier to control it from a distance? I don't make any progress, though. Whenever I try, it feels like my soul is trying to stretch out of my body to touch the little bird, but it just doesn't stretch far enough. Here you go, kid, Rowan says, returning with something dangling between his fingers. One unconscious rat. Work your magic. Stay, I tell the crow, who glares at the animal ravenously. I accept the rat, pull out a shard of my soul, and try to put it inside while it sleeps. But nothing happens. My soul shard simply doesn't fit inside the living creature. Furthermore, I can barely sense the rat's soul, even while touching it. It's just enough sense to know I could pull it out, if I want to. I do, but I hold off for now. Shaking my head, I look up at Rowan dejectedly. No dice, huh? He says. Sorry kid. Though I gotta say, personally, I'm glad you can't do that kind of stuff. Conomancy is some spooky business, even compared to the Walking Dead. Or, the Flying Dead, as it were. Now unanimate that thing and let's get out of here. Okay, I agree with a nod. Question first, though. How does Lynn's threat sense thing work? I spiked on it when I ate the last soul. Why? I don't want to set that kind of thing off. Rowan tilts his head a bit. When you ate? Well, martial types like Lynn get all kinds of pseudo-magic crap, and it's long been theorized that the stuff they do comes from the same kind of energy that makes souls work. If that theory is true, my guess is that Lynn is vaguely judging a soul's strength compared to her own. You might be able to learn how to do it, actually. As an animancer, it might even come more naturally to you than it does to her. Unless I'm totally off base, I guess. I nod, pulling out the rat's soul and popping it in my mouth. It's so tiny. Even smaller than the crow's soul. Discarding the corpse, I grab my little crow revenant and pull its soul out too. There's something viscerally satisfying to it, really. I hide both of the bodies in the garbage pile, popping the souls down my throat. They aren't very filling in the, spiritual sense, but it makes me feel a bit better to have my shard back inside myself, plus a bit of interest. That's super freaky, Rowan mutters, staring intently. Sorry, I murmur, standing up. It's fine. Really. Just try not to get into the habit of it too much, okay? I nod. On the bright side, I might be able to sustain myself on souls if we don't have enough bread. He gives me an odd look for a beat, then laughs, pulling me in for a side hug. Oh, shit. Come here, Vita. You're a good kid, yeah. It's probably not a good idea, though. A strong soul and a starving body is still half of you not working right, okay? We'll figure something out. No need to fast for us. Okay, I answer, nodding yet again. Hey, Rowan. Yeah, Vita? Is there something else I can do to help you out? Like, with your job? He thinks for a while at that. Not with necromancy, if that's what you're asking. But I can certainly use an extra pair of hands. There are a few easy duocons we could do. I nod. Yeah. That's what I meant. Thanks for helping me today. Yeah. Sure thing, Vita. You're basically family, you know? I've only known you for a year, though. He shrugs. Doesn't really matter. We starved together. You stepped up and helped Lynn, and I out when you didn't have to. If the way I'm returning the favor involves hiding you from Templars, so be it. I frown. Those things hardly seem comparable. I should have started helping way earlier. I'm way older than all the other kids in the shack. He blinks. Really? You don't look that much older. I'm 16. I insist. He scowls down at me, giving me a serious once-over. Why was this so hard for everyone to believe? You're just so small. You really struggled to eat before you found us, didn't you? We're not even doing that good of a job, but you were desperate enough for our handouts anyway. It must have been really bad, Vita. I'm sorry. I swallow dry, looking away. That's definitely not something I want to get into. What does he expect? People in this city starve to death all the time. Am still worried about Greg's son, I say, changing the subject quickly. His wife too. They'll recognize me. Is there some way you can make me look different? Not a great way, no, Rowan answers, taking the topic change in stride. I can probably disguise you while we're together, but some kind of complex facial enchantment that maintains a different appearance and moves with you without my constant attention? Yeah, no, you'd need like, a metal artifact or something. Way beyond anything I could pull off. Huh? Yeah. Metal. Like that's going to happen. I nod once more, curiosity sated for now. It's a shame we can't hunt for food. Souls for me, meat for everyone else. It would have been ideal. It's never safe to eat meat unless it was treated by a biomancer, though. Cooking food helps, but all sorts of heat-proof magical diseases hang out in wild animals, and if anyone in the shack catches one of those, they will absolutely die. Rowan and I depart the trash-covered clearing, heading off to one of the places he likes to set up his job. Eventually, the two of us make it back to a busy street, Rowan's silence bubble dispelled. There the con begins, sending instructions by magicking words into my ear that are so quiet, no one else can hear them. I fake a few customer victories together on one street, act as an assistant on another. It's kind of fun. Rowan has an odd kind of personal magnetism to him, where even people who know he's scamming can't help but enjoy the show. I actually find myself smiling a little. At least until a Templar walks by, one of the very hands of the church that hates the very idea of my existence. Fear freezes my heart like ice. It's just a normal Templar, thank goodness, wearing standard issue armor rather than a unique top. He, I think it's a he, anyway, is covered in armor from head to toe. Chitin armor, in fact, probably carved from some wretched monster from outside the walls. A sword hangs on his hip and a shield on his back, each piece of the outfit adorned with the eye of the Mistwatcher, the symbol of the church. Worst of all, he is absolutely, definitely, walking straight towards Rowan and I. Chapter 5. Oh no. Oh shit. Act natural. Just act natural. I'm a normal kid that has done nothing wrong. Wait, no, I'm not a kid. Do something natural and also adult. Damn it, I don't know what that is. I'm like the least natural person on the island. What do adult women do? Make out with Rowan? No, wait, gross. Ah. It's too late. He's already here. Kinemancy license?" the Templar asks Rowan blandly. The con artist's mouth twitches in an annoyed smile. "Right here, sir," he answers, fishing some parchment out of his pocket. Murmurs of annoyance ripples through the crowd. Kinemancy? Illusion magic? A number of people start to realize they are being scammed all at once, departing in anger. With 2 words, the Templar has probably ruined Rowan's business in this part of town for a month. The Templar grunts, looking the paper over. "Yep, you're clear. Sorry to bother you, sir. Just my job." "And no problem," Rowan murmurs back, plastering the fakest smile he can manage on his face. The Templar doesn't seem to notice or care, handing Rowan's paper back and continuing on in the direction he was walking before. Once he's out of sight, I let out a long breath I hadn't realized I was holding. I'm going to have to work on not looking so guilty, considering how very guilty I am. "Well, that's probably enough work for today anyway," Rowan says glumly. "Come on, Vita. Let's bounce before someone starts thinking they can demand money back." "We can demand money back?" someone asks. "No." The 2 of us exit down an alleyway. I don't complain. I'm in no mood to keep going after that scare. Besides, I'm exhausted. From the looks of things, Cragskar Island will be passing overhead soon. The yellow sky glows eternal, presumably in accordance with the Mistwatcher's will. Clouds sometimes form and storms sometimes blot the sky, but only when other islands pass overhead does the land experience true darkness. Cragskar is a massive stone island, named as such for its tall stone cliffs with jagged swaths of blackness cutting through it like a wound. The island is large enough and moves at just the right speed for a 6-hour nighttime when it passes overhead. Perfect for finally catching some sleep. I walk back to the shack with Rowan in silence, but I'm more than okay with that. Silence gives me time to think, and thinking is something I definitely need to do. Firstly, Mistwatcher, I have to ask. What am I? Why am I like this? The Mistwatcher gives people their gifts, yet my gift is hated by the Mistwatcher. One of those 2 things has to be false, fight? Or is it just false in my case? For all I know, I'm some special chosen one, granted the Mistwatcher's own power. Of course, I could just as easily be the opposite of that, created by some force other than the one that makes everyone else, some antithesis to life itself. More likely than all of that, there's just something I'm not understanding correctly, and I'll feel like an idiot when I figure it out later. If the Mistwatcher knows, it doesn't answer. Ugh, damn it. Religion has never fed me, and now I'm a heretic for existing. Why did I even bother to ask? I have something now, at least. I have power, I have a talent. As frightening and horrible as it is, as much as I wish I could have any other ability, I will take it. It's better than nothing, and it's the only bone I've been thrown my whole life. I just have to be careful. Zombies are a major problem. I can't go around making them without people finding out sooner rather than later. But is there any way for someone to detect I've eaten a soul? Sure, I seem stronger to people with senses like Lynn's, but people get stronger naturally as well. It wouldn't inherently point to necromancy, even if someone notices how fast I'm growing. Eating souls is also, well, enjoyable. I want to say tasty, but that's not quite right. They don't really taste like anything. They are not physical, and my tongue doesn't register them. But the feeling I get from ingesting them is wonderful. From the way they break apart sliding down my throat, to how they plop into my waiting spirit and dissolve away into raw power. Power that then becomes mine. I shudder. Try not to get into the habit of it, Rowan had said. That might be hard, when killing makes me feel so alive. Fuck, am I thinking like this already? No. No, I won't just accept that that's all I am. Magic is a tool, and I am its wielder. Besides, if I let myself become a monster, I'll be hunted down like one. The sudden, rapidly falling nighttime shakes me from my thoughts, and I'm relieved it does. The massive island of Cragskar will soon block the sky entirely, casting the town into near total darkness. As is, we're currently caught below its penumbra, a dark shadow of light's absence that bends below every island. I at least don't need to wait for my eyes to adjust, as Rowan is prepared, conjuring a ball of dim light in his palm. Kragskar is one of hundreds. Well, probably more like thousands? Maybe more? Anyway, it's one of many islands that fly through the sky on the same predictable orbits. Just over 8 hours after Kragskar passes over, the mist thimble will bring 4 hours of darkness and rain as it floats overhead. The mist thimble is particularly beautiful, a sort of bucket-shaped island with streams of water which pour constantly out from its sides. I've always wondered how it never runs out. It casts great rainbows when viewed from a distance, and the showers of warm water it pounds on the streets can be a beautifully welcome sight to the many people like me who've had to fight for a fresh drink. 20 hours after mist thimble leaves, another island will pass over, and so on. Countless islands are visible just by looking up during the day, and I have absolutely no way of knowing how many are below our island. I've never been anywhere near the edge, and if I try to talk to a scholar or something I'll probably get my ass kicked by the city guards. I doubt I'd even believe there was an edge if there weren't. You know, sky islands flying around everywhere. I finally make my way back to our crappy little shack, greeting and jostling aside all my fellow orphan brats. Of course, I am a full head taller than most of them and quite a few years older, so I really shouldn't be considered in the same sort of category. Okay, so I'm still pretty short, but you try to get tall while constantly starving to death. It doesn't work. Eventually I sidle myself underneath the little pile of blankets on the floor that I call my bed, keeping my clothes on for safety and warmth. A wad of extra clothing is all I have for a pillow as well. But hidden safely inside that wad is my stuffed toy bird, Roscoe. I'm not sure what kind of bird he was supposed to be originally, but so much dirt and grime has collected on him that I've just taken to calling him a crow. I've hid Roscoe for so long, I can barely remember where I got him. They don't leave toys like this out where someone like me could steal one. If I recall correctly, someone was bringing their kid through a bad part of town, and the kid dropped him while their family got mugged. Everything of value was taken by the muggers, but Roscoe here. Well, he's certainly valuable to me. People like me don't get to own things. We hardly even get to like things. I had to protect this little stuffed doll with my life sometimes, steal him back from other kids when he got stolen, get in the type of fights normally reserved for the final scraps of food. All just to have something I could squeeze when it was dark outside. I squeeze him hard now, just thinking about it all. He is, and always will be, my most prized possession. My first friend. No matter how childish people think it is, they can't understand what he means to me. Though I can't help but wonder. If I can put a piece of my soul in a dead crow, can I put a piece in a toy crow? Can I bring my friend to life? The thought runs cold through me, a certainty in my bones. Whether it's impossible, whether it's some horrible facsimile of what I want, it doesn't matter. I have to try. I shouldn't be thinking about this, let alone doing it. I am a working blasphemy. A danger to everyone I know. But you know what? Fuck it. Lynn said this is part of who I am. That I could use it. And if there's a whole branch of magic all about messing with souls, they couldn't possibly be as sacred as the church claims. If the Mist Watcher has a fucking problem with that, it can get its ass up here and tell me itself. I reach inside and splinter my soul once more, pulling out the shard, invisible to the eye yet glimmering to my heretical senses. What's the difference between an object and a corpse, really? Slowly, carefully, I push the shard into Roscoe. It fits. The little toy bird has a soul in it. I can't resist a giddy laugh as I feel spirit tendrils expand through the little stuffed body. It twitches awkwardly, flopping its useless little wings around. I did it. Roscoe, my friend, is moving. He is alive. Hug, I order softly. Grubby little black wings reach out, squeezing my all-too-thin torso. Pulling Roscoe in, I hug him back, my wonderful little friend. He's been my companion for so long. I've hugged him like this so many times, and now he can hug back. Tears well up in my eyes. After everything that happened today, after being nearly beaten to death, after murdering a man, after discovering my existence is illegal, after eating a human soul, this is what finally makes me cry. Screw it. I'll waste water just this once. I finally drift off to sleep. Line of dashes. I wake up sweating, a terror heretofore unknown freezing my body solid. It's still pitch dark. A slimy feeling passes over me like a giant, monstrous tongue. Invisible, intangible, it drips nothingness as it winds around me. I am alone. But it's there. I feel it, searching for something, passing over and around me. Until it touches Roscoe. It passes through Roscoe. And it plucks out that little shard of my soul I hid inside him. Then it descends, down into the mists, taking the tiny shard with it. Half a minute later, I start to breathe again. I sleep no more that night.